So hey, Paul Day, you do your bio real quick. If I did your whole bio, we'd be here for 15 minutes because it's so impressive.
It's
You're the
because I'm
current.
close to 60 years old now.
No, you look great. You look great. So you're the current general manager for the Philadelphia Wings, member of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. You're head coach and general manager of the year in the NLL for the Wings. You've appeared in 9 NLL finals as a player, coach, or GM, and winning 5 of them. You won 3 Man Cups as the GM with the Peterborough Lakers, and you were the assistant coach for Team Canada that won gold in 2011-15 for the World Championship. So incredibly impressive bio.
We were lucky. We actually won a 4th Man Cup in a row before I
Oh,
retired.
4th. I'm sorry, I missed that. So
So it
4
was
Man Cups. Yeah.
after COVID. Yeah, and they're hard. It's like winning the Stanley Cup for us up north. It's extremely hard to win.
Explain what the Man Cup is for those who are just tuning in now.
So I guess the easiest way is all the NL players in the summer come home to their hometowns, I guess you could say. Like Lyle plays in Six Nations. John Grant's from my hometown, Peterborough. So they all come to their hometown back to the summer. And in the East here, there's 7 senior teams. It's called Major Series Lacrosse. And in the West, Vancouver, Victoria area, there'll be 7. I think there's 7 WLA teams. So you play in your own league if you win it. Playoffs are 4 to 7, semifinals, finals, and then whoever wins from the East or West, they play each other, and it alternates from the West. This year it was in New Westminster. It was a 7-game series, and it went 7 games. Six Nations won in the 7th game, and then next year it'll be back in the East. So it's and the schedule's like the World Series. It's Friday, Saturday, off Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But you are in that market. So for us, we won 2 in the East and 2 in the West. So we'd be in Victoria or New Westminster for 10 or 11 days, and so everybody leaves their job for 10 days. But that being said, I mean, for me, I played in 2 Man Cups in the 90s and then coached in 1 other. So over 27 years, I went to 3 or 4 of them and never won. So it took me 27 years to finally win.
Wow. So it felt pretty good, pretty special to get one then, right?
Oh, yeah. So, and then the Minnow Cup would be the same, but junior lacrosse. So for
junior A.
People, junior A, like major junior hockey. So, Seattle Thunderbirds, that same thing in lacrosse. The players come home from college. Some players are in high school. You come home from
16
college.
16 to 19 around, or 16 to 20
Yeah, to 21.
21.
So,
okay.
And there are guys like that play in the NLL, and they also play junior because they go to Canadian University. So, they're not field lacrosse players, are just box. And and it's the best lacrosse to watch in the summer is to watch a junior A. I probably saw 40 games this summer, and I'm 2 minutes away from St. Catharines Athletics. So, and God, people don't know, but Casey Powell played in Beaches in the 90s. Guys have been coming up forever.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's one of my questions is that, why do Americans who are good enough to play, why do they get so much better playing up in the Canadian system?
Well, I mean, obviously, just the game in general, the tight spaces and the really small confines. That being said, it is intense. Like, it is super intense, and you might play 30 or 40 games. If you're a good team and you end up getting close to the Minnow Cup or the Minnow Cup, you're probably playing 30 or 40 games. So if you're practicing, you're 4 or 5 times a week, you're together as a group. Obviously it's going to make you that much better. Coaching. So, my son's U15, so he's in 9th grade. His coaches this summer were 4 NLL guys, and this is not even junior A, but every rink you go into, it's Josh Sanderson coaching. It's every NLL guy you can think of coaching. So, and that's just, they're doing it because they love it. So that's the junior A. It's, I would say, Pat Coyle, the final, the Minnow Cup, Pat Coyle and his group out of Coquitlam are coaching, and against Rusty Kruger, who's been a coach and player in our league for 30 years, and his group in Orangeville. And Steve Toll and Ian Rubel, Robbie Taylor on the St. Catharines bench. So it's, Kenny Millen too. So it's, these are all pro guys, and it's not like anybody's making a whole bunch of money in the summer for junior A lacrosse as far as coaching staff. So it's and it is fantastic lacrosse. Like obviously Joey Spallina came up here and
Yeah.
played in
CJ
two
Kirst,
minute.
right?
Yeah, played in
Kirst came up,
Mimico.
yeah.
And Joey, I think he played in 2 minute cups for Orangeville.
Mhm.
And it's great exposure. So and then Roy Colsley, boy, played for Coquitlam
That's
this
right.
year. Very,
Yeah.
I coached Roy in Rochester in like 1996, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
Syracuse legend. Um,
that's right.
so the system, the Canadian box system, describe a little bit how it works. Like if I live in St. Catharines and my boys in
Yeah,
St. Catharines, do you start at U9 and you go all the way to U17 in a system? How does that
yeah.
work?
Even earlier than that, like so my guy, you're 3 or 4 years old, and you go out to soft lacrosse, and like when we did soft lacrosse in St. Catharines, on the floor, it's just fun lacrosse. It's creative, it's fun. There's no hitting and anything like that, but you're
Mhm.
really, peanut. You're little, and it's like same thing. Like I was out there, Pat McCready, Ian Lord, all
Mhm.
these NL guys with their kids. So that's you grow in that group, and then peanut, tyke, novice. It's all U now. It's U17, U15, U13, U11, U9, all the way through. So, but the nice thing about it, I probably get a couple calls a week from U.S. club teams wanting my son to come and play down
Sure.
there. It's a business. It's minor sports, major business. Well,
Mhm.
that's my talk on hockey, minor hockey, major business, which is
Yeah,
great. No, I'm a huge hockey guy, but
sure.
here it's like, let's say for us U15, it's like $400 or $500 for the summer, but it's not like you can go
Good
play
deal.
for a different club. Yeah, it's a really good deal, and you're coached
So you
four
stay
NL.
within your system, like you
You stay
stay in
within
St.
your group.
Catharines, right?
It's not a recruiting. Well, come to this term, and you're going to get this exposure. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Like obviously, you do have situations if you're in a smaller town where you want to play um, with an A center, as we would call it, like AAA, whatever you want to call it. So that does exist, but you stay with your kind of group all the way up, and you'll find like if a group, like for me growing up in Peterborough, we won the provincials Pee Wee, Bantam, midget. So that's like 12, 14, 16. And then we went to 4 minute cups in a row against Paul and Gary Gate because you stay with that group. So it's it's all about kind of developing the skill, I guess. It's very different. Obviously I've done a lot of box camps in the US, and um
Yeah, how does it differ? There's more of a curriculum than the US system, and how do the
yeah, I
Canadian
guess so.
players
There's
differ from the Americans?
Yeah, I guess you start to learn at a young age about being creative, maybe more than being technical. Obviously we want
Mhm,
their sticks by their ears all the time, but
mhm.
if you can't make that, you're 8 years old, you can't make that pass by switching hands, then throw a backhand. Like that's the creative kind of.
Sure.
I think it's like we grew up playing a lot of road hockey and road lacrosse. That still continues now. Like every day up here, that's a thing. Whether it's wall ball, but really going out to play with your friends. So I think that
You'll
attitude
pick
is
up.
really still exists
Mm.
in box lacrosse up here, whether it be practice. Practice are obviously very structured, but also a lot of chance to play pickup. Like when I was coaching little guys, we'd play a lot of 3-on-3, 4-on-4 with tennis balls, no hitting,
Mhm.
and just try and be real creative.
Is there a club system in Canada now for box and field or no?
For definitely, like, so in the wintertime, which is tough, like there's the Rock Stars. They have a great program in the Toronto Rock practice. They have their own facility, two turfs, gym,
Mhm.
um, physio, everything there. So they do have a great program. There's probably 5 to 8 programs in the GTA, so the Toronto area, which is, I think it's the sixth biggest metropolitan area in North America. That's how big the area is. So
Mhm.
kids will drive to Toronto to do the Rock Stars. The issue, obviously, is a lot of kids play hockey. So my son would do some club programs for box in the wintertime and play hockey. It's tough, but it's definitely not as intense as summer lacrosse. But then those club teams definitely recruit for field teams. So there are a ton of field
Summer
teams.
field.
Yeah, like with the travel, spring, fall,
Mhm.
and summer. Evolve. Tracy Klusk coaches with us. You know Tracy.
Mhm.
He's got a huge program. Evolve, and those of God, I saw he had 8 or 10 guys signed to big Division 1 schools. Last month when the signings started, there, from Ohio State and Hopkins and everywhere. So those kids are doing that as well, which is great because you can play box, plus you can, play on a club team. It's tough if you're a multi-sport athlete, which we all want them to
Do you
be.
have multi-sport athletes, or are kids starting to specialize in Canada as well?
I would say, 95% of the kids until they're in high school, if not 100%, are multi-sport.
That's great.
Maybe
What
not.
about
It's
in high
hundreds, probably a
school?
lot to say, but like once they get to high school, then they're definitely, picking and choosing. But most kids are playing hockey, basketball, a lot of football, obviously, as well up here. So it's
So, speaking of high school, how has your experience with your son been at the Hill Academy?
oh, it's really good. He's living in
Pretty great.
residence, and yeah, I've obviously ninth grade, so doing his own laundry,
Sure.
study hall, which he's always been a good student, but now I think the Hill Academy, it's kind of what's like all the prep schools, all the programs,
Mhm,
it's character based student
mhm.
athletes. So a lot of ownership on his own. So he's really enjoying I think the process of becoming a better student. Like it's almost like it's a part of his athletic curriculum. Like
Sure.
I want to make sure I do really well on this. It's like a game to him now. But his science teacher's Graham Hossick. His coaches are he's on the grade 9, 10, 11 team. So it's
Yeah,
Graham Hossick, Brody Merrill, and the head coach is Graydon Hogg. So
that's awesome.
it's yeah, it's pretty
That's
good.
pretty
So
cool.
and
Yeah,
we get to get him, like, we're only an hour and a half away, so get him home on most weekends. He can hang out with his old hockey friends and his lacrosse buddies as well from the summer.
that's cool. So, how do you, as a GM coach, when you're assembling a roster, how do you build and breed great culture?
I think huge is the internal leadership of the group, like the players. That's number one. So I
Mhm,
think for us, when we were an expansion team 4 years ago, um, we stole some players, and I say steal, like you end up getting 2 players from every team, kind of the way
mhm,
expansion goes. And obviously, you're not getting their top 10 guys. You're going to get their.
mhm,
So for us, Kyle Matisse and Jordan Hall were in Georgia. Those were 2 guys we wanted to kind of run the room and kind of set the tone. They're just coming off. They had just won the championships 2 years before, so that's really what we looked at, and that's kind of what we look at right now too. Even before the draft, we're interviewing players for the NL draft coming out of college, and
mhm.
one of the questions we ask is who's your favorite teammate? Any sport, doesn't have to be lacrosse. Like, who's your favorite teammate and why? And some of those answers will really tell you, what they're about. Plus, they'll give you a lot of intelligence on some other player that's probably in the draft or is maybe already on an NL team. It's, things like that. So the culture, I think, for sure. Obviously, the way the organization it was run from top down, how you're treated. I mean, in our league, it's not guys are making millions. Most of them have real jobs as well. So you want the weekends when we're away to be good hotel, good flights, good food,
Mhm.
um, and efficient. Everything efficient. They're not worrying about things. So I think that's part of the culture that you're building. And obviously, the NL, we're in a wintertime league, so you do have to sometimes, it's weather related. So there's a lot of issues that come up. But if you can take care of most of that, and with all our groups, we've always had a leadership group. We start camp this weekend. Next weekend, when we get down to close to our numbers, we'll have 8 or 10 veteran guys that we sit down with, and we kind of map the year out. What do they want to eat? Where do they want to stay? What do they want practice to look like? Just to, have them take ownership in that. same as when we're talking offense, defense, we'll talk to them about how do we want to play? How do you think this group wants to play? Take ownership in that as well. So things like
How
that,
have
I
the
think,
players changed over the years then, from your
a
opinion?
lot of people say that.
Have they changed?
I'm sure they have, but it's still that same attitude of, they want to do well, they want to win.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course, they're more involved than, probably when we were playing. But I think the athlete is still the athlete that wants to
Mhm.
do their best
Okay.
and they want to win.
So
Yeah.
you've played and coached some against some of the best players in the world, right? What makes a player great in your mind?
I think, you can always talk about talent, but I think it's the passion that gets them there. Yeah, I think that's the number one thing is they just love it.
They love it, right? Yeah, they
Yeah.
love the game.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just love it. Like Casey was like that, John Grant, Tavares, who's my age, we played against each other and then we
Mhm.
played together.
Mhm.
There was nobody better in practice than him. Like he was unbelievable in practice. And obviously he
Practice like you
played
play, yeah.
24
Yeah.
years, and that guy, we played in Vancouver together and, you know, he played college football up here and had an opportunity to try out for a CFL team. He was that, he's
Mhm.
that good of an athlete. So
Sure.
yeah, but I think passion is, the number one thing for, you're living, breathing it and sometimes it's athletes that are so good at a lot of sports because they're so passionate about competing and
Mm.
maybe they don't decide. You see all the time guys in Major League Baseball, at the NHL or basketball or football, they could have played two pro sports. Those guys are, passionate about competing. So I think that's those two things, passionate about, they love the game and they passionate about competing.
So then do you like that when you see that on a player's resume that he's a hockey guy or played another sport when you're looking to possibly draft or work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking
Yeah.
at it's different now because I think it's fantastic. Like US players play so much box now, but
Mhm.
15 years ago, I'd be looking at a kid that was playing at Virginia, but then his bio, he played hockey growing up in Connecticut. And you're
Yeah.
like, that's a guy that can play box. A
Sure.
midfield. You're like, yeah, he can play box. So, but yeah, I think if I'm choosing a player that played, they're equal, but he's played three or four other sports. I'm, just the pure competitiveness and the different things they would have learned from those sports. I'm taking that player 9 times out of
Sure.
10.
How are the Wings going to be this year?
Well, I hope we're good. Um, our goalies both had great summers. They're both young guys. They're both under, 26 years old, two young guys. Brennan, going into his second year, I think he had a great year last year.
Mhm.
And obviously, I think everybody saw what he did this summer. People were probably wondering about him last year before, but there's a guy who started playing in the third grade, playing some box for some great people. So, in the Connecticut area, Sowers will be his first. We traded for him in January. He'd never actually been to a camp before,
Okay.
so he's going to go to a full training camp. He had a great, season. He got hurt late in the season.
That's
He
awesome.
hurt his shoulder in Halifax.
He's so good.
Yeah, Dalton Young, who people probably never talk about him. He had a great PLL season. Like he's a horse. There's a guy who's a great football player, great basketball player.
Mhm.
Went to the University of Richmond, Virginia. He only played 3 games, I think, for us last year and opened up some eyes. So then, we're Joe Rezateris and lots of other big guys in the front end. And then we've got Chris Corbeil coming back. We traded for him. He's the captain of Saskatchewan for 3 championships. There's leadership right there that you can't get enough of. And then, a lot of young guys, a little banged up last year, but we'll be good. We'll be young. We're super young. I think we had 12 new guys last year, and we'll probably add 4 new guys this year. And then we got 2 big bodies here in Philly. We need big bodies. So Eric Fennell, who went to Ohio State, kid from St. Catharines, big, strong, 6'3", 215 pounds. He's a lefty forward, sets great picks. Him and Blaze up there. And then Phil Caputo, hockey player, played major junior hockey.
Mm.
He's been in the NLL for like 7 years, another big guy. Those are the power forwards that we like to see in Philly. So Yeah, we're excited to get going. I mean, for us, whenever we draft, like Brennan, Dalton, Sowers, those guys, and D guys, they haven't played a lot of box like us, so their ceiling, I think, is you take a 21-year-old who never went to U.S. college but played junior here. They're a good player, but they're probably at about 85% of their potential because they've played it their whole lives. Well, I'm pretty sure Brennan and Dalton and Sowers and U.S. guys who've played 1 year in the NL, their ceilings, they got 50% more to go. So I
Mhm.
think we like that about bringing in, U.S. guys to do different things too. The same thing we told Matt Rambo when he came in. He'd never played a box game. We're like, for the first month, he's trying to be Jordan Hall or Corey Vidal. I'm like, stop. Be Matt Rambo. They don't know what you're going to do out here. They're not expecting it. Like, don't set a pick. Like, play like you're Matt Rambo but in the box game. That's it. And I think that,
Mm.
when I played in the league, the New York Saints and the Philadelphia Wings, they were all these U.S. guys that were, split dodge. We don't split dodge. I mean, what's going on here? So, I mean, that bring the U.S. part of into a box to confuse
Yes.
people. Yeah,
Mhm.
we never did that in our lives.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we do now.
Yeah. So who are some of the best players you played with or against? Like in your opinion,
Well, Paul and
in
Gary had
hockey?
played against since I was 12.
Oof.
So yeah, they're a year older than me. So every second year we played them, and they were always
Mhm.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And obviously John Tavares I played against and played with,
Mhm.
and then I coached Paul Gate in Rochester, like great human and just a monster. Like late in the game, need a goal. It just carry 8 guys on his back. It was unreal.
Mhm.
Casey in 2010 in
Mhm.
Orlando, Casey, he was MVP of the league, and he was, you know, just fantastic. I mean, so many. God, Matt Vince. Matt and I were together from 2010 in Orlando. Then we were in Rochester till 17 together, and then we were in Peterborough. He was already in Peterborough when I went back to Peterborough. That's my
Mm.
hometown, but I'm like 3 hours away. But um, yeah, he's the best goalie that ever played. Unreal.
Awesome.
I mean, so many players. I've
Oh yeah.
grown up just watching them.
Well, I want to thank you. I don't think you realize, but you're one of the reasons why box lacrosse started in Southern California. If it wasn't for you 15 years ago, about even coming out here, running the
Like,
camps, right, teaching the refs, teaching the players, right, teaching the parents about box and the benefits. I'll tell you a quick story. We're running a camp, and I come off to get a drink, and you're working with all the boys out there, and I'm talking to these fathers, SoCal dads, and I said, "You know who this guy is?" And like, "No, we really don't." I go, "That man working with your sons out there, that's the equivalent of Bill Belichick coaching your sons." And they're like, "Oh, wow, okay, I get it now." So
oh, I don't
I
know
want to
about Bill
thank
Belichick.
you.
I don't know
Well,
about Bill
you know,
Belichick, but
the
that's
Bill
very nice.
Belichick of Canadian box lacrosse. Your bio and resume is
Yeah,
extremely impressive. You're a great man. You're a great coach. I'm looking forward to reconnecting and seeing you in person again soon. Hopefully down here at the Seals game when you guys come, or hopefully up in Canada one
yeah,
day.
get
But
you up here.
yeah,
Yes,
I want to. We got to do it. I got to bring my son and his buddies up. It would be great. So, but
that's
thank you,
great.
Paul. You are the man, and thank you for everything.
Pleasure and good luck down there. Hey, anytime you need help, we'd love to come down.